Break is brought to you by Netflix. To stream all of your favorite anime, TV shows, and movies, head on over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV to sign up for your free 30-day trial. Now, the MMO that's going to be based on Dungeons and Dragons, believe it or not, is going to have some dungeons. MMORPG.com just posted an interview with lead producer of Neverwinter, Andy Velasquez, and here to talk with me a little bit about this interview is GameBreaker's very own Jason Winter. Now, Jason, Neverwinter isn't going to have raids, but instead is going to have dungeon delves. What are dungeon delves?
Dungeon delves are sort of their substitute for endgame content. They're 5-man dungeons that are supposed to be like, they even say raid-like content. And Andy says that they're doing it that way because they want to preserve the Dungeons & Dragons experience, which is generally about small groups. If you play Dungeons & Dragons around the tabletop, you only have 4 or 5, 6 people or so, rather than the 10 or 20 or 40 people or whatever you might be used to in an MMO raid. And really, I don't think it's such a bad thing. I mean, you can still have fun with a 5-person group, and there's no reason why you need a dozen plus players to have a great experience in an MMO, as long as the content is designed to be challenging and be interesting for that size of a group.
Now, speaking of content, he also went on to say that Neverwinter is going to be based on the 4th edition of Dungeons & Dragons, but for those that maybe don't know, what does this mean to them? Where are they going to be experiencing it?
Well, the 4th edition of Dungeons & Dragons was often described, and sometimes in derogatory fashion by old-school players, as the MMO version of D&D. It played a lot more like a video game than previous editions. It had cooldowns on powers, rapid healing out of combat, or branching classes that are kind of like specialized classes in MMOs. It was kind of mixed in terms of popularity. They're actually putting out a 5th edition very soon, partly because that was not all that well received. Now, Dungeons & Dragons Online, for instance, was based on 3rd edition, which was a little more realistic as a property, but didn't really fit all that well into a video game. So that's why they're doing 4th edition for Neverwinter. It just kind of fits the genre a little better. And he says it's not going to be strictly 4th edition. They're going to mostly just copy the template of it. They'll leave out some things, while including other things in other editions. But then again, it might just be PR talk. It reminds me sort of like Guild Wars 2, where they say the version of this would be if you like 4th edition, you'll love Neverwinter. If you don't like 4th edition, you'll really love Neverwinter.
You'll still love our game, so try it anyway. All right, so Cryptic is also basically going to adapt the Foundry, which is used in Star Trek Online, for Neverwinter. Now, how big of an impact do you think this is going to have on those players?
Well, the Foundry is their engine for user-generated content, and I think you'd really be hard-pressed to find a more fitting game for user-generated content than one based on Dungeons & Dragons. I've never been a big fan of that sort of thing, but a lot of people, and myself included, we ran a Dungeons & Dragons game at some time in our life, played the Dungeon Master, created the world, created dungeons, whatever, and I can definitely see it as being really popular with people who want to just jump in and create their own dungeons and their own adventures, and maybe the familiarity of working with the D&D framework and the concepts of D&D will be kind of the boost you need to try that out if you've never done it before.
I love the Foundry. I love the idea of this. I mean, there's things out there like RPG Maker from years ago that you could just find people who would create the most amazing user-based experience. You can really create some amazing content if you give the right tools to players. It just opens it up so well.
Right. You hope that you find there's also the stuff that isn't quite as good, but hopefully it'll be more of the former and less of the latter. I mean, I know the old Neverwinter RPGs had content creation tools, and those were really popular. So I think this is going to be almost an extension of that and be really popular in the MMO.
All right, guys. Well, for more on this interview, be sure to catch the article down below, as well as for all of your other gaming news. We will keep you updated right here on GameBreaker TV. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.